All right, we got the whole family here producing the show. We've got the producer behind me, as you can tell in TV news, just gets younger and cheaper, and they don't always make the show easier to understand, but that's okay. We have a live report from Clearwater Beach. I'm wearing my rain jacket
Hi, everybody.
in solidarity with everybody who reports on hurricanes and all the hurricane reporting I used to do. And okay, so Dad, tell us what you're seeing there, because it sounds like everybody's on the news is kind of freaking out, but when I look behind you, it does not look like much. But maybe this is the calm before the storm.
I guess it could be. It is serene. There are very few people. It's the way a beach was meant to be. I'm celebrating. My friend and I just went for a swim. We have everything tidied up, tied down, but I'm going to have life as usual, only better, because all the people that panicked have left. And we have a great beach. The water is beautiful, and we're just enjoying it here.
Okay, but it has wreaked havoc in other areas, so it could get serious for you guys. How do you, as a Floridian of almost 40 years, make the determination about whether to evacuate? Because I've been seeing that there are mandatory evacuations for people in your area.
Yeah, they start the mandatory evacuations early, 3 days before the hurricane, because there are so many people that have to evacuate, and there are only so many spaces on the highway. So they start it very early, way before anybody knows if it's really going to hit or not. And so the bullet point here is unpredictable. Hurricanes are unpredictable. You just don't know where they're going to go and where they're going to end up. So to leave 72 hours in advance, to me, means you're in a wheelchair or a nursing home or whatever. You know, it takes you a long time to get out. I've done that. I've been through, this will be my third hurricane that was pointed straight at our house. And the first one I evacuated at about 48 hours. And I ended up on the other side of the hurricane swath, and it never touched our house. And I had to come 50 miles across a hurricane path with Hurricane Charlie. It was hard to get through. All the trees were down. The next one, Hurricane Irma, about 5 years ago, I left right around 36 hours before. And it was because of the news. Oh, it's category 4 or 5 coming right at you. And then it went east at the last minute, and I ended up on the wrong side of the hurricane, wrong side again of the hurricane path. So this time I got smarter. And I know, since they're unpredictable, the best thing to do is wait until the last minute. You could actually be more irresponsible by evacuating and getting yourself on the other side of a 50-mile swath and put yourself in danger, rather than stay at home and wait till about 12 hours before it hits.
Let's talk real fast about Biden's recommendations for hurricanes. I got to say, I'm not totally sure when this video was taken, but in at least last year during hurricane season, he said you should get vaccinated for COVID to protect yourself during hurricane season. Now, of course, the fact checkers would say the video is missing context, because he's not saying that a COVID vaccine protects you from a hurricane. He's saying it just makes things more complicated for you to get COVID during a hurricane. But I just thought this was funny, so let's play it real fast.
Let me be clear. If you're in a state where hurricanes often strike, like Florida or the Gulf Coast or into Texas, a vital part of preparing for hurricane season is to get vaccinated now. Everything is more complicated if you're not vaccinated and a hurricane or natural disaster hits. Let me be clear. If you're in a state where hurricanes often strike, like Florida or the Gulf Coast or into Texas, a vital part of preparing for hurricane season is to get vaccinated now.
Okay, I played it twice so everybody could hear it. All right, so when did vaccines become part of the regular preparation kit for hurricane season? Because I don't remember growing up ever hearing that you needed to get vaccinated during a hurricane.
This is the first I've heard of it. Nobody talks about it here in Florida. I don't know anybody that's getting vaccinated. We're just enjoying Florida, we have a great governor. We have a great Secretary of Health, Joseph Ladapo. And, you know, he says, if you want to get vaccinated, go ahead. But, you know, he has been very clear about what really does help. Vitamin D deficiency is not a problem for us, especially during the summer. We get plenty of sun. So we're just not concerned. Nobody even talks about it. No, nobody has ever asked me, are you going to get vaccinated or you know, do you think that's a good idea? People don't, we don't even talk about it. We might talk about local sports, maybe about how high the winds are going to be, the wind gusts, so we know how to prepare. We get water. I have a generator, but hurricane preparation and vaccination makes no sense to me. That's an agenda that he's reading on a teleprompter, like usual. And Sleepy Joe, I recommend he get a nap, take a nap, and don't try and shake somebody's hand in the air.
Okay. Yeah, lots of chats about this. If vaccine can stop hurricanes, plus you get a free hot dog.
That's a good one.
Yeah, lots of people here. Is there anything the vaccine doesn't protect you from? LMAO. Okay, and you're a doctor, so you know, you get to say it if you want. But there he is. Like I said, I don't know when he recorded this video. I just know that in 2021 he was saying the same thing, and everybody was joking about it and saying how ridiculous it was. Then of course USA Today and a bunch of the other fact checkers had to jump on and say, no, you guys got it wrong. But I mean, you know, all I'm pointing out is that when I was a reporter covering hurricanes prior to COVID, no one said, or at least I don't remember us ever talking about like, go get vaccinated for the flu or go get that, you know, it just wasn't, you know, nobody said that. They just said you need to have like some batteries for your flashlight and ready to eat meals maybe, and some water on hand. But, you know, getting a vaccine was not one of the things that we regularly told people to do. So it's just interesting to see the evolution of all of that. Okay, so on that point, Dad, any
well, if I could say, remember what politicians, it's a politician's motto. Never let a crisis go to waste. Have your agenda ready, and as soon as there's a crisis, plug your agenda. And if there's no crisis, make one, and then plug your agenda.
Well, this is my agenda. Everybody should go to AllisonWinePromo.com and get something to drink that you can hunker down with during the hurricane. You know, it's probably not the best thing to drink if you're going to have to drive and evacuate from your house. But if you're going to stick around, then you know what? Get some AllisonWinePromo.com before your internet goes down. You get 50% off of my favorite Malbecs from Argentina, 50% off shipping. I'm finally drinking these again because I had the latest producer a couple weeks ago. So toast to the latest hire for our production team and support his college fund, or hopefully some kind of vocational school so he doesn't go to college and turn into a lunatic like most people do nowadays. Or if you want to go to twinenginecoffee.com/Allison, you get 10% off your first order. These are organic coffees from Nicaragua. They are all high altitude as well, just like my wines are high altitude from remote regions. There's light roast, there's dark roast, there's also Leatherworks. I wanted to make sure I gave them a shout out on this. There's some really cool totes. I have the wallet card. It's very soft. They're all locally made by handmade artisans that are working with the coffee company. But if you like coffee, again, remember you get a wide variety of roasts. They've got a tumbler, and there's tea. If you like tea, go get the Katura tea. It's tea you make from the coffee fruit. And I like to cold brew mine 24 hours. I've been telling people I'm starting to make kombucha with it. It's a lot like a black tea. It's very good. But anyway, tea, coffee, or wine, whatever you want to drink during your hurricane season. Don't forget, it's a way to support my work if you're already drinking this stuff. And let's get on with the video. Okay, so we're going to keep this quick because we want to make sure that you can get back to watching.
Hashtag hurricane party.
Yeah, hurricane party. That's what Floridians do. Okay, so when is it expected to hit your house? Well, right now it's headed right for your house. So when do we expect that?
Actually, it's taking a turn to the right, and the winds have died down. Latest report is 50-mile-an-hour winds and 80-mile-an-hour gusts, and it's going to turn east it might even turn towards South Florida. That's how far east it's starting to turn. So as I said, bullet point 1, hurricanes are unpredictable. You just don't know where they're going to go. And to look at a hurricane forecast and make your plan 36 hours, 24 hours in advance, you just can't predict them. There's no way to know exactly where they're going to go. So I'm waiting till about 12 hours before and looking at the current situation. As usual, they predict the worst case scenario, not the most likely scenario. And so if you want to know the worst case scenario, go to your television, go to weather.com. They're selling all their product based on your fear. And if they can get you afraid, then they can sell you.
It's true that when we worked in the news business that we loved weather. I mean, anything weather related was always at the top, and you'd make it last as long as you could. I remember one time when I was in Florida reporting, it seemed like it was always the unnamed storms, the stuff that just kind of came out of nowhere that everybody that would really hit hard, and the ones where you're preparing for. It's like I almost knew we were preparing for it, so it was not going to be bad, and it would be the stuff that totally caught us off guard that was going to be really bad. But one thing that was like you were not allowed to say was, "It sounds like a freight train." I mean, I had bosses that would get really mad about ever saying it sounds like a freight train, because they say that all the time. It always sounds like a freight train. And one of the guys I interviewed once, when he said a tornado ripped the roof off his house, he said it sounded like a freight train. And I heard that our meteorologist back in the station was just screaming at the top of his lungs, "There was no tornado and it doesn't sound like a freight train." And the guy just kept saying, "It sounds like a freight train. It sounds like a freight train." His name is Dennis Phillips. If you're watching in Florida, you know Dennis Phillips. He's a really nice guy, but he didn't like that interview I did. And so then all the audio guys, they saved the recording. So anytime they wanted to play a trick on Dennis, they would just replay the segment where the guy said the freight train tornado ripped the roof off his house, just to drive Dennis nuts. All right, so if you go to AllisonMunaro.locals.com, you can be part of my editorial board right now. Cloud says, "I hope everything's going to be all right. I'm on the southeast side of Florida and tracking Ian diligently." But there are also some comments over on YouTube. I don't know if you know this guy, but Brian and the fiance Sarah wish him all the best during the storm. Do you know Brian and the fiance? I don't know.
Yes, yeah. I met him at the Dancing Goat Farm.
Oh,
and
okay.
he came played soccer with us a few times. Hi, Brian. Great to hear from you.
Okay, he's watching. There's
Hi,
another
Sarah.
one. Someone else says vaccines prevent drowning. Your compliance will be rewarded with a donut. And okay,
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. Anything else? Okay. TV weather sponsored by Home Depot, Publix, Lowe's, and Walmart. Yeah, you got to get your Publix sub too. That's for sure. I guess anything else you'd like to add before you go? Anything to? I mean, because at the end of the day, obviously this hurricane and other hurricanes, there have been some serious repercussions. We don't want to just totally make light of it, but it is fair to also say that many more times probably than not, the fear that you watch on TV news is not necessarily replicated in Florida anyway, with the reality of what ends up happening. Would you say that's fair?
Yes, they broadcast the worst case scenario. Weather.com gives you the worst case scenario. The National Hurricane Center gives you the worst case scenario. They don't give you the most likely scenario. It's always the absolute worst. And so they're trying to panic everybody. So the 3 bullet points I've brought for today are: it's unpredictable. Wait till the last minute to make your decision. Don't panic. Don't listen to television. Don't go to the National Weather Service or whatever. Just maybe check the spaghetti model every 12 hours and then prepare. Tie things down if it's going to come close. The winds are no problem as long as your neighbor's furniture is all tied down. It's the furniture that breaks windows, not the wind. The wind is not a problem. And then get an idea of how high the storm surge is going to be.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, the storm surge actually will do more damage than the wind as long as you've tied everything down. So get an idea. For example, we put our cars in the garage. Me and my neighbors, they have a parking garage, and I'm up on the 4th floor just in case there's a storm surge. It's walking distance away. No, no big deal. And then the last thing I wanted to say is I canceled our homeowners insurance, our flood insurance, our wind insurance about 20 years ago. And I've saved about $200,000 in premiums. And we had one incident that cost $6,000. So I am the example of what insurance companies charge. About 90 to 95% of insurance dollars go into the pockets of the insurance salesmen, the insurance companies, and only 5% ever comes back to claims. So people spend tens of thousands of dollars on homeowners insurance and flood insurance in Florida. And my best advice is pay your mortgage off and cancel the insurance. That's been great. We've had some great hurricane parties with the money that we would have spent on insurance.
Okay, so people are probably there. I'm sure there are going to be some people who just say you're flipping about this, and then if something happens, they'll replay the clip and say, "What? More?" And they're just another idiot in Florida.
Okay,
you know?
the last hurricane that hit Clearwater was 101 years ago, 1921, November. So our risk here is, I don't know. Well, it's at least less than 1 in 100, at least 1%. So why would I pay the cost of my house every 20 years when a hurricane is only going to hit every 100 years? It makes no economic sense to me. And, if you don't take some risk in life, there's no reward. You got to take some risk. And if the apple falls and our home gets hit, we got to find another place to live. I might have to live in my car, but I'm willing to take that risk so that I keep the money in my pocket, not in those bankers and insurance companies and lawyers' pockets.
Yeah, someone says Florida man says cancel home insurance. I'm ready for the news to take clips from this and be like, Allison Morrow, who used to work her dad's got off his rocker.
Hey, margaritas are a better value.
Okay, my parents haven't had home insurance claim in over 40 years. Are you saying insurance companies are committing malpractice?
Oh no, they'll tell you straight up. It started when a friend of mine bought a $400,000 boat with cash, and he's only a local insurance man. I said, how in the world did you get all that money? He said, from my business. We just sell insurance and we pocket all the claims. And then when people put a claim in, we make up a story and we don't pay them, and we make millions of dollars. I said, that's it. I'm not paying for your boat.
One last quick question. Somebody's asking if the same people who control the banks and media control the weather.
Absolutely.
You think they control the weather too?
Okay. Anybody, whether it's the weather people. Oh, you're talking not weather.com. No, you mean the weather itself.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Look at what Bill Gates is doing. He's blocking the sun. Those trails in Virginia coming out of Washington where they're putting the chemical trails in the air.
Oh, geez.
I mean, a lot of people think that stuff is real. They're controlling the weather, and we've had a real drought this year. And they want to say, oh, it's the drought, not the radiation that's poisoning all your fruit trees. But yes, they want to control the weather, and they're starting to.
Okay. But you have to have insurance with a mortgage. We don't have insurance.
Yes. You got to first you got to pay off your mortgage. Very important.
Yeah. So don't be in debt. Yeah. It would be very, fortuitous if everybody just got into a lot of debt if
everybody got out of debt, they could not do anything to us. Okay. They couldn't make us get a vaccine. They can't do anything. If everybody got out of debt, the insurance companies would have to go farm and grow some food for us.
Okay. Well, thanks, Dad. I hope you'll come back on tomorrow when it's hitting, and we'll see if your words stand true or if you end up crying like I did for an epidural at the end of your...
Yeah, we'll see. I'm prepared. I have 2 generators. I have a Coleman stove. I got the generators to keep the food frozen if I need to. And we're going to cook some steaks and some fish. And I'm getting paid. Whether or not I work because of the hurricane is a government thing. So we're just going to have fun here and see what happens.
Someone asked, how many has Chip had today? He's a hoot. You haven't had any yet. I don't
None.
think.
Yeah, I'm not drinking.
This is him sober.
Okay. Sober.
Thank you everybody for watching. Thanks, Dad. We'll see you tomorrow
thank you.
as the storm hits. Okay. Bye.